Hey guys, so we're going to kind of kick off the semester with something that we can do from home because I have a feeling that we're going to be having some people in quarantine to start off with. That's kind of what we're advised as professors, that the first couple weeks of class are going to be, there might be quite a few quarantines. So I'm doing something that you can do at home. And then once we get past the couple of weeks, first couple of weeks or week and a half, whatever, of class, then we'll kind of start getting into Illustrator, possibly a little bit of Photoshop, and then hoping to also do some After Effects in class this semester as well. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to do File, Open, and make sure that you have your image ready. Either a portrait of a person, kind of close up, hopefully, so you can really get the features of their face. Nothing too far away. You don't want like a full posed body of a person. It's just like too far away to get their individual features. So you're going to need something that's sort of close up. And it doesn't have to be a person. Animals are totally okay too, like family pets or anything like that, or just like a tiger or mountain goat, or like whatever you want to do, really. But I am going to do, it's one of my previous dog that I had. She's no longer with us, but here's the crop tool. So we can always crop these images if we want to. Pretty easy, just click and drag. Select that tool, click and drag it to where you want it to be. You can always adjust the cropping if you need to with these little arrows. And then just push return. Okay, I didn't really need to crop it, but I just was showing you how to use the crop tool. So if we do a File, New, we can do a new project. We can name it Low Poly. So this is called like a low poly portrait, basically. And we want to put this in inches if it isn't already. And I want it to be like 8.5 and then 11 inches high. So basically letter size, your standard piece of paper, 300 DPI so that it's going to be clear for printing. And then let's just make it a transparent background. So we can just create that. So here's our canvas, basically. Here's the layers panel. Here's the history, so we can kind of go back in time if we need to. I don't ever really use any of this, so I'm not quite sure exactly what this is, but this is enough like Photoshop that I can kind of get around in here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to this one and then do a Command A, Command C. So Command A is select all, and then Command C is copy, and then go back to low poly PSD and do Command V. So we brought our image in to a 300 DPI canvas. So I think I pulled this off Facebook, so it's probably at 72. So it's probably pretty low quality. But the canvas that I brought it in on is a higher quality. It doesn't mean that it made this image any higher quality than it was. Sorry, I kind of had to cut the video strangely there, but it didn't make it any higher quality than it was. But when we start adding to this, it'll make what we add higher quality. So when we start actually adding in shapes and colors and things, what we end up adding on top of this is going to be of a better quality. So that's why we're trying to set up a canvas that's at 300 DPI, which is the print, which is the DPI that we want for print. 72 is for the web, but if you print 72 on paper with a regular printer and everything, or go to the printer like Floren's Printing downtown and they print it, it's going to be blurry. So that's why we set this up at 300. So everything we make will be in high resolution. Okay, so if we go to Edit, Transform, actually Free Transform. Oops, the layer's locked. Uncheck the lock to unlock it. Edit, Free Transform, and then push Shift. I believe push down Shift to keep it proportional, and then you can always size it up to the size of the canvas that you made. Mine actually fit in there almost perfectly, but just get it sized up in there so you can see it quite well at least. And then do a Command plus to kind of zoom in. And then let's create a new, actually we're not going to create a new layer, never mind. Forget that. So just zoom in. You might actually have to zoom in quite a ways, so Command plus, or just use the magnifying glass here. I like doing Command plus because I'm just kind of used to that. So I think I'm going to start over here in the ear. So basically what we're going to do is throughout this whole piece, we're just going to create triangles with the Polygon Lasso tool or polygonal Lasso tool. I have a hard time saying that. I like saying Polygon Lasso tool. It's easier for me. So basically we're just going to create, you know, triangles, only triangles. And we're only going to go to where there are similar areas of color. So take that lasso tool, and I'm just going to start right now. There's a relatively similar area of color here. Oops. Okay, if you double click, it really helps to kind of like join the two ends of the path, so it creates like a solid triangle shape. So you might have to double click, and then you go filter, blur, average. So it creates an average color and value of that area that you had selected. And if you do command, or no, if you do select, deselect, which is actually a Command D, you can do that on your keyboard shortcut if you want. And then we just kind of want to go through this whole area and create these triangles. Select, or no, sorry, filter, and you can actually go to last filter, so it'll go to the last filter that you used, and it's a little bit faster than every time going to blur, average. So, and actually there is a shortcut command that you can learn, Option Command F on a Mac. It might be Option Control F on a PC. I'm sure it'll tell you up in here what it is, if you want to start using the shortcut command, that is, which is not a bad idea. Command D to deselect. So one thing about this is like zooming in is actually a really good idea, but see how this is kind of like not the best triangle? I can always, and there's a gap here, so we don't want gaps. We want to go back in and just redo this one. And that's a little bit better. Command D that. Still not great. I might actually have to just do it one more time. And I mean, the more you do this, the better at it you get. Command D to deselect, to get rid of those dancing ants. I see there's a triangle. The triangles really start to pop out to you too, the more you do this. Sometimes I end up triple clicking and it ends up, but if you double click, it does help to close the path for you. Command D. So after a while, you start to see triangles in here. And like I said, try to keep the seams relatively, tight if possible. And these aren't obviously not going to, they'll turn out pretty nice, but obviously, don't worry about it being totally perfect. These are just quick exercises for you guys to do to kind of learn that this can create a really neat effect. And it's something that you can do easily to create a kind of a stylized illustration in kind of a simple way. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to pause the video, keep going, and then kind of start it back up. And I'll show you guys how to export it out and save it out and everything like that. It's a pretty simple project. It's kind of time consuming, but it's kind of gets meditative after a while. Okay, and so I've got her ear done. You can kind of see I used, in some of the more detailed areas, I used smaller triangles. And then once I started getting into larger areas and larger blocks of color, I started trying to use bigger triangles, because if we use teeny triangles for this whole thing, it'll end up taking a really long time. So it's a good idea to try and, if you see large areas of colors, try using larger triangles. So that's her ear. I could, do her whole face, obviously. So, and then I would go through and probably do her paws too, just to kind of finish off. I wouldn't know if I necessarily would need to do her body, but honestly, if I did do her body, I could literally probably do pretty simple, like, series of triangles. Something like that. Filter, last filter. I might be picking up a little bit too much of the floor. That's why it's kind of turning brown instead of kind of this gray-blue color. But literally I can make her body in like 3 triangles probably. If it looks goofy, obviously we can totally cut out her body. It just is up to your own discretion. On everybody's image is going to look a little different, so it's up to you as an artist to kind of decide, you know, what's going to look good, if you even want that there. If we want to actually clip these out, which I suggest you do, you can still use the same tool, and we can just go through and just using straight lines, just start clipping her out. And I can do a Command plus to kind of get in there too, so I can see, because I actually already started my project, so I need to kind of clip around the colors that I made. So this is something that you might do either before or even after you're done with your portrait, your low poly art portrait. I'm just following the different shapes here that I've created with my triangles that I have made, and then I'm continuing to just use those straight lines to clip her completely out. Just doing kind of a rough job, you know, maybe kind of preserving some of these cute little hairs that she has coming out of her ears. Obviously that's kind of an artistic choice, but we don't want to use anything except for straight lines, so just keep going. Okay, so I actually clipped all the way around her. If I zoom in, you can kind of see, let's see, if I zoom in, you can kind of see where this goes all the way around her whole body. So I have the dancing ants all the way around her body. If we do select inverse, that will select the background, and then if we just push delete, that'll create kind of a transparent background on our subject. So I think that kind of about covers it, really. It's a pretty simple project, but it is relatively time consuming. If it's something that you want to return to, you don't want to do it all at one time, I mean, you can always do a file, save as PSD, and then do an allow, and that'll actually give you a PSD file that you can then re-upload into Photopea, I believe. So if I go to Photopea again, maybe in Chrome, Photopea, whatever you want to call it, and then do open from computer. This will be in my downloads folder. Put it on list view. Here's that. And we should be able to actually resume our project really easily if we just save it out every once in a while. And it's not a bad idea. Like if you have like a kind of an unstable internet connection, to like every 5 minutes just save out a new PSD. So that's a file, save as PSD. And also when you're done with your project, I don't want a background right now. I want it to be a plain, transparent background like this. But once you get all of your triangles made on your whole subject and it's looking pretty good and they're all lined up really well and there's not sloppy looking, do a file, save as PSD of your file, and it'll download to your downloads folder. And then if you do a file, export as JPEG, and then save that out with the current settings. You can always bring it up to 100% quality if you want. Maybe make this inches so you know how big it is. 8.5 by 11, that's good. Quality 100%, JPEG, and then just push save. And then so you'll have a JPEG and a PSD that you can then, here's the JPEG and the PSD, that you can then upload into Brightspace for a grade for this project. And then we'll kind of work on creating backgrounds, and then we'll end up kind of adding to this project later on. So it's going to be kind of a 2-part process, but we're starting with the actual subject matter, and next we'll do the background. All right, talk to you later.